Welcome everyone, it's your boy IQ MMA and we're back again with another video. Today we're going to have a look at if there's a path for redemption for Conor McGregor in his MMA career. People think that Conor McGregor has changed, that he has regressed over the years due to inactivity. And I definitely believe that inactivity can play a part when it comes towards a fighter's career. When we have a look at Conor McGregor's topology, so his fight record over here, we can see that he's been very inactive for an elite professional fighter, only having fought 2021 and then a year before that. So having a huge gap like a year can have a detrimental effect to an elite fighter. Before that, he had 2 years away from the octagon. Before that, he had another period of time away where he was away from the octagon fighting Floyd Mayweather in their money fight. And that kind of takes Conor back over into a period of time where he was active. And you can see here in 2016 he fought 3 times. In 2015, again, he fought 3 times. And typically, that is what an elite professional fighter should be doing. That is what a fighter in the UFC should be doing. They should be keeping active, looking to fight 2 to 3 times a year due to kind of contract disputes and whatnot. Typically, you'd like to fight 3 to 4 times a year to kind of maintain the activity, maintain the mental sharpness, which I believe let McGregor down in this rematch. When I look at Dustin Poirier, so I've got his topology account here right now. You have a look at the amount of fights that he's had over the years. So he had 2 fights in 2019, 2 fights in 2018, 3 fights in 2017, 3 fights in 2016. So you can see that Dustin's been hitting that 3 fight, 2 fight a year kind of criteria, which has been to Dustin's benefit. You know, you can see that Dustin was very, very sharp. He was battle hardened, and ultimately you could see a visible difference in the reaction time and sharpness between Dustin and Conor. So in the first step of Conor's redemption story, let's say, I believe he needs to be a lot more active. I believe he needs to get rid of some of the ring rust he might have due to inactivity. And not just physical inactivity, so like competing and fighting, but the mental inactivity as well. This man is a multi-millionaire. He owns many, many companies. So having a fight to look forward to ultimately keeps an athlete in the mind frame where they're going to be ready to knock someone out or to submit someone. When we have a look at other elite athletes, so we have a look at Cristiano Ronaldo, we have a look at LeBron James. Yes, these men are multi-millionaires. However, these men are very, very active within their sports. Albeit, they are team sports. However, the principle is the same. They are doing their sport and they are extremely active. Okay? Being a fighting sport, it's a bit different, but I still believe getting out 2 times a year. Even have a look at another multimillionaire in Anthony Joshua. Guys like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Canelo Alvarez. These fighters get out 2 to 3 times a year and maintain their activity. And this allows them to compete at the elite level all year round. So moving forward, I'd like to see an increase in activity from Conor McGregor. The second thing I'd like to see is having a range of tactics. Okay? And what I mean by this is I'm not actually talking about Conor's technical technique. Okay? I don't think Conor is a bad martial artist. In fact, I think he's very good the way that he uses his movement, his distance, the way he can change the tempo with his punches. I think they're all very good things. He has a diverse range of punches and kicks. However, there comes a time in your career where things need to change. Conor McGregor has implemented similar strategies in every single one of his fights. Okay, so going from a vast majority of Conor McGregor fights, he wins via punches. And what you typically see is it's the left hand that kind of turns the tide in a fight for Conor. Personally, as a martial artist and an MMA fan, I'd like to see an evolution in Conor McGregor's game. I have a look at George St Pierre, who was on a win streak before he fought Matt Serra. So you can see he'd won quite a few fights against some MMA legends. We've got BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, Jason Miller, all the way up until he fought Matt Serra the first time. And when he fought Matt Serra, he got stopped by punches. Matt Serra kind of skimmed him across the back of his head. He got wobbled, and then from then on he was looking like Bambi on ice. Yeah, my man was skating about. But what I found interesting about George St Pierre is, one, he remained active. He fought 4 months after, so you can see he fought Josh Koscheck. But secondly, he also began to evolve his MMA game. He began to change aspects of his game. The first fight against Matt Serra, he was opening up with switch kicks. He was throwing switch kicks and punches at Matt Serra. The second fight, the first thing George St Pierre did in the second fight, straight into a takedown, straight into a double leg takedown, where he was able to hold Matt Serra against the ground, land some ground and pound, and even just keep position. Because when you keep position in MMA, you're still able to drain your opponent of energy. I'm not saying that Conor McGregor is GSP, because skill-wise, they are very, very different athletes, and personally, I feel like GSP has a lot more in his repertoire. He's a much well-rounded fighter. I do believe, however, Conor McGregor has more attributes that he can offer, and I'd like to see him and the team at SBG work on a range of tactics to evolve Conor McGregor's game. Finally, I'd like to have a look at his motivators. It'd be interesting to see if a guy like Conor McGregor has a psychologist. He has a sports psychologist that maybe sits down and works with him and looks at some of the things that might motivate him. When you look at a lot of up-and-coming athletes in MMA, a strong motivation for them might be the fact that they're going to be fighting and making money. Okay, they want to get a win on their record so that they can progress up the rankings. For Conor McGregor, it doesn't really matter. He can be ranked in a really low position and he will still be on the main card, and he will still be the main event. Okay, having that hunger to be able to make money. My guy has multiple companies. Money is not an issue for this man. But then you kind of need to relate it back to the fact of what are his motivators. What is going to keep this man in the gym, training, keeping his body right, and also keeping his mind right, keeping that mental sharpness, keeping the edge that he once had. What is going to do that for him? Is it the fact that he's going to be champion and he's going to share the lineage of several other fighters such as BJ Penn, Khabib, Anthony Pettis? Is it going to be being in lines with those guys? Is it the pure fact of competition? Is it the fact that he can get in the ring and he can still have something to work towards for months upon end, and then have a competition at the end that gets him up for it? Is it the fact that he wants to create spectacles and break records? Okay, filling out arenas, breaking attendance records, breaking pay-per-view records. Are these things that motivate Conor? And ultimately, no one is going to know except for him and probably the people that are around him. In closing, I feel like Conor McGregor is an incredible athlete, and he's done a lot in the sport, being a 2-weight world champion. However, the game of MMA is evolving, as it always is, and I feel like if Conor is going to be relevant in this game as a legit top 5 and title contender and even a champion, his game needs to evolve, and he needs to give more respect to the game. Okay, he's been very inactive. You have a look at fighters like Israel Adesanya, who typically he fights 3 to 4 times a year. So 2020 he fought twice, obviously pandemic and such. If you look at 2019, 3 times in the year. If you look at 2018, 4 times in the year. If you look at 2017, 4 times in the year. Well, MMA and kickboxing, but activity is activity. Israel Adesanya is a very active fighter. If you have a look at someone like Kevin Holland, who's just kind of broke into the top 15 of the UFC. Okay, see 2020, he's had almost 5 MMA fights in 2020. Okay, 4 in 2019. And you can see from his record, 2018. Yeah, a few fights there too. If you have a look at someone like Robert Whittaker, just for the last one, I'm sure you guys understand my message now. Robert Whittaker hasn't been as active, and you can see that he had a long extended break between 2018 and 2019 where he then lost. But what's important is that MMA is a game where, like I said in my last video, you either win or you learn. So cool, Robert Whittaker's took an L against Adesanya, but he's come back and he's managed to rack up 2 more wins. If you have a look at the wins, you know, he won a fight against Darren Till. 3 months later, he's back in there again against Jared Cannonier. So again, being active, I stress, is very important for MMA fighters and for athletes in general. So let me know what you think. Please make sure to like, comment and subscribe below. It's your boy IQ MMA, and I'm out. Woos.